Today I'm going to kind of take you through some things that are going to make your stamping designs a lot easier. Let's just start by talking about the colors. My 4 favorite colors for stamping are black, white, silver, and gold. And I always feel like these are going to give me the best color every time. Now, when you're looking at colors for stamping, opaque colors that dry fast are going to be your best friend. And that's exactly what we have here in our Young Nails polish line. Our colors are super highly pigmented, so you're going to get really good color coverage, and they're going to dry really fast, which is really important when we actually get into the stamping. We've got our stamping plate, we've got our scraping card, we've got our actual stamper, and then we also have our stamper cleaner. And then inside, it's just kind of like a sticky lint roller, so it's going to be able to clean off your stamper. So remove the cover from your stamper, and you can use that to clean off any dust or any extra polish that's on there. Use that to clean off your stamper. So let's just start by, how do you actually pick up a stamp? So I've got an extra table towel here set aside. I always like to have that to kind of just wipe off any extra paint. Now when you're working on the stamps, I always like to start by just kind of picking up some of my color, whatever stamp we're going to use. I'm going to use this one down here. But I polish that whole entire stencil or that whole entire design. That way I can really get that full design and I don't miss a part or miss maybe like a corner or an edge or something like that. So always start by polishing that whole entire side. I'm going to clean this off because at this point my polish is already starting to dry. So here's one of the tricks of working with your stamping plate. Again, because our YN polishes are fast drying, if you wait too long to scrape that or to pick it up, it's going to kind of start to set on the plate. So let's go ahead and we'll put our polish down here on that whole side. I'm going to scrape across once and then I'm going to wipe off my little scraper card. That way I don't have a lot of residue on here. Now, one of the challenges that I see people do is they'll scrape that one time and then they'll go back and they'll scrape and they'll scrape and they'll scrape and they'll try to take off all of that extra polish. But what ends up happening is because they've scraped so many times, they try to pick that up and nothing picks up. Because one of two things just happened. Either they scraped off too much of that polish and there's not enough left on the stencil to pick up, or they've taken too much time and now that's actually dry or mostly dry in the stamp. I want to make sure that you are working quickly. Okay, that's one of the biggest tricks of stamping is you have to work quickly because again these polishes are so quick to dry and that little bit that you're going to have on your stamper or on the plate is going to dry fast. So as you're working, again you're going to go through, you're going to brush on a good amount of polish. Don't be too skimpy with it. Give it a firm scrape, wipe off the extra, use your stamper, press down and pick up. Really that quickly. You have to work that quickly so that you can go from stamping to pick up and then you can go on to the nail. Now, as I'm kind of waiting here and talking here, this is already starting to dry on my stamper. So a lot of times, if maybe you're talking with your client, you guys are having a conversation, maybe you picked up your stamp and then she said something crazy and you had to react and you're sitting here holding your stamper, it's drying on your stamper, and if you wait too long, it's not going to completely adhere to that nail. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this off before we move on. So just kind of rolling that right across, getting any excess of that polish off of there. So again, you guys, this is really how fast you need to be moving. And I'm just going to show you on my little tile here so that you can kind of get a gist of it. So again, we're going to apply our polish. We're going to scrape across, wipe off that little bit of extra, use our stamper, pick up, and then go right to that nail. And that way it's going to actually adhere fully. You're going to get that full and complete design. Sometimes if you wait too long, it may pick up little bits and pieces, or if you wait too long to put it down onto the nail, it may again leave little bits and pieces on the stamper and not onto the nail. So make sure that you're going boom, boom, and that'll be the proper timing. Okay, don't wait too long in between. You don't want it to dry either on the stencil or on your stamper. One other thing I do want to tell you guys or kind of show you is the angle of the card as I'm scraping. So I go at, so we're not straight up and down, we're not perpendicular. So we're at about a 45-degree angle. So when you're scraping, kind of put some pressure into the edge of the card down here. You can see I give it just a little bit of a bend and then pull across. If you come straight across, you're not going to get an even pull. So again, keep a little bit of pressure down at the end of the card here, about a 45-degree angle, and pull across. That's going to make it a lot easier to remove the proper amount of polish from the stamp and pick up enough on your stamper. I was telling you about the different colors. Now, like I was saying earlier, my favorite colors for stamping are black, white, silver, and gold, because to me those always are going to pick up a really good, solid kind of a coverage. Now, what if you're using something a little bit more sheer? Maybe something like Rough, Tough, and In the Buff. I love using this color for French manicures, and you can stamp with it. However, it's not going to give you that same bold look as something like the black, white, the silver, or gold. So let me show you what it actually would look on say, a black nail. Same thing, scrape, wipe, press, pick up, press that down onto the nail. Okay, so again, it's going to give you kind of that shadow look. So if you're just wanting something very subtle, you can use those more sheer colors like this, but they're not going to give you something more bold. Let me show you with one of the other stamps. Let me use the white, so you kind of get a little bit of an idea on that as well. And you guys, in between, also still make sure that you are cleaning off that stamper so that you don't have any residue from the last color on there. Okay, let's grab this one. Same thing. We're going to scrape, wipe, pick up, and set that down onto the nail and lift up. Okay, now you can see there's a couple of these little frayed edges. It's not a big deal. Just kind of tap them down if you want to. Otherwise, those will get sealed when you do your top coat, so it's not a big deal. You don't have to worry too much about those, okay? Now, there is a little area right in the center here that didn't quite pick up, and I can see right on the stencil here where it didn't pick up. Now, probably the reason that it didn't pick up is I think there was a little bit of old polish in this stencil. So make sure that you are cleaning your stamper, and then also make sure that you are cleaning your plates. And to clean your plates, all I'm going to do is use one of our lint-free wipes, a little bit of polish remover or acetone, and really get in there and clean that stamp off. Now, you guys, what do you do if this happened on a real person? Okay, you have your stamp on there and you're looking like, oh, it didn't turn out right. What do? We take it off. Because right now what I've got on here is our Go Time gel polish, and you can definitely use this over gel polish and it works great. So if you do accidentally, miss an area or something like that, you can use either the on to the next or swipe, clean that off, get that old design off of there, and you can go back and redo it, okay? So if you're working over gel polish, it is totally fine. Remove that stamp and you're good to go again. So again, you guys, to change out that design, if I had to redo it, I could just take that all off again, grab my stamp again, grab that stencil again, making sure that's nice and clean, making sure that there's no other color residue on there, and then I can go back in and redo my application. Again, scrape, press, and then we're going to go right onto that nail. So that time it picked up that area just right. Okay, so always kind of check your designs, make sure that it's picking up right. Now you guys, here's another trick. These stampers are clear, okay? Now you can see through them, so you can see through that stamp, so you can really line up your designs exactly where you want them. Now, something that I actually like to do to get an even clearer or crisper view of what you got going on there, I actually take off that back plastic piece. So this way, when I'm looking down that stamp, I can really see exactly where I'm lining up my design. So just another little helpful hint. You don't have to, but for me, it's just one of those things that makes life a little bit easier. So you guys, I was talking about my favorite colors being black, white, silver, and gold for stamping. I was telling you about you can use those sheer colors for more of a shadow kind of a look. The one kind of a color I don't recommend trying to stamp with are glitter polishes. So glitter polishes, these are not going to give you really good full coverage. So if you're working and, oh, well, let's just grab this one right here. You put that glitter polish on and you scrape off and you go to pick up. What happens is you just get kind of the glitter. You don't generally see the rest of the stencil. You don't see the rest of the design. So trying to stamp with those glitter polishes, not a great idea. But for the most part, any of the other glitter or any of the other polishes are going to work great for stamping. As long as we're talking about colors, let's have a little fun with our colors. So yes, you can do solid colors like this. Yes, you can do kind of that shadow look. What about kind of a two-tone or a three-tone kind of a color combination? You guys, this is where you can start getting really creative with your stamping. It doesn't have to just be one color. You can take those three colors and do a little dab of each color, just kind of right next to each other. And don't be shy with your polish, okay? Use a little bit more than you think you're gonna need. And then you can, again, just scrape straight across. Oops, I didn't clean off my stamper. Pick up, and then you can set that down onto the nail. So now if you want those three colors kind of separated like that, but all together on the nail, you can just apply them just like I showed you there. But if you want these colors to kind of blend together a little bit more, kind of fade together a little, so that it's not quite that stark line in between, take your colors, dab them on, and then I'm just gonna grab just a little liner brush. You can use really kind of whatever brush you want to. And I just start to kind of blend those together. So just blend those colors together. And this will help them to kind of fade together. So kind of an ombre look with your stamp. Same thing, we're gonna pull across, wipe off, press and pick up, stamp down onto our nail. So now instead of having those stark lines, they just kind of blend together a little bit more. What happens if you're trying to do a design on an extra long nail or a stiletto or something like this, okay? Here's where it can get a little bit tricky because you guys, these designs, most of them will fit a good length of a nail. So these are nice and long, but if you're working on those XL nails and things like that, you may have to kind of tweak this a little bit. And this is where taking that back end off and being able to see through here is gonna really be your friend. So I'm gonna take my color, I was gonna do this one, and we will scrape through that. Pick that up. Now I'm gonna look through my stamp here. I'm actually gonna turn that around. I'm gonna press that down onto the nail. I actually kind of rock it from side to side a little bit to make sure that I get all the way to those edges and then lift up. Again, you can kind of tap down those little edges. Now, there's not a whole lot right down here at the end that needs to be covered, but if you had maybe half of the nail that didn't get covered, here's what we're gonna do. Kind of take a look at where that design is and kind of visualize that on your stamp on your design here. I'm gonna clean this off. And then we're going to, again, polish that on. Now, because I'm only gonna be picking up part of it, I didn't have to do my polish on the whole thing. So I'm gonna pick that up, and I'm actually gonna look through and I'm gonna line this up. I'm gonna see where that design is, and I'm gonna look through here, and I'm actually going to use the edge of my scraper, remove a little bit of that, and then I'm gonna line that up. Oh, I got the shakes. And press that down on there. So now I just was able to add in that last little bit. Just by being able to look through this stamper, I can line up that design perfectly so I can add in that last little bit and cover that nail completely. So if you do have those longer nails, you can do a full design on the whole thing. You just have to kind of be a little bit careful. Take your time. But again, you can use that stamper to remove little bits and pieces from that. Again, you guys see how it's dried on the stamper now. So you do have to work quick, but you can use that that scraper to remove those little bits that you don't need. Okay. Now, same kind of thing on some of these bigger designs. So we've got all kinds of different designs here. Now, you guys, I guarantee you this whole entire butterfly is probably not going to fit on a whole nail. Okay, so if we kind of line that up, you're gonna see it's not gonna fit on that whole nail. So what we can do with that is kind of similar to what I just did on here. So I'm going to do our silver. Just apply our polish. Now this one you could either polish or pull across. I'm actually going to pull down because I don't want to hit that edge. So I'm just going to pull straight down that way. Grab my stamper. I'm going to pick up that design, and I don't need that side there, so that's why I wasn't worried about it. I am going to turn that around, and again, using my card, just remove half of that. Now I can come in. Oh, I ran out of nails here. I'm just going to use this one here. But I can use this one to press on half of that design. Okay, so just because it's that whole design doesn't mean that you have to use that whole design. You can do bits and pieces, you can do pieces and parts, however you want to create those designs. So you guys get creative with your designs, get creative with what's on those plates, and use all the different pieces that you want to, okay? Okay, so you guys, just really quick to kind of finish up here, how to clean everything up and how to finish the nails. Let's talk about cleanup. So you guys have been seeing me do this throughout the whole demo. To clean your stamping plates, all you need to do, take a little bit of polish remover or even just straight acetone on a lint-free wipe, go through, just wipe off all of that old polish. Really make sure on some of these smaller intricate designs, give it a good scrub, maybe a couple of wipes to really make sure that all of that polish is cleaned out from the inside. And then make sure that you are cleaning off that stamper just using that little tacky paper. And then once your little paper is full and it's not removing anymore, you can just peel off that old section, and now you've got a nice clean space to work on. And then you can just close up that and you're good to go again with your cleaner. Now, how do you clean off your card? Like I was showing you guys, after I scrape, I always kind of wipe off that extra so I don't have a whole lot on here. But if you have those little bits and pieces that maybe you removed from your stamper, or maybe you do have a little bit of extra polish on there, same thing as we did the plates, you can just use a little bit of polish remover or acetone and just clean those up really well. Okay, so quick and easy. And you guys always make sure that you put the cap back on your stamper, put that base part back on there, so that way your stamper is always going to stay nice and clean and fresh, and it's not going to get, different chemicals or anything on there as buildup or anything. So that's going to help keep your stamper in good shape for a long time. All right, you guys, so hopefully some of these tips and tricks are going to help you when you're doing your stamping. Hopefully it's going to make it nice and easy for you. And again, for those of us that we don't have that skill for hand painting, these stamping plates are going to be your best friend. So hope you guys enjoy the new stamping plates and have lots of fun.